So, I mean this when I say this. Fire Stephanie White yesterday. She said that unprovoked.
It seemed like there was something off with this Fever team. They didn't have the same energy and spark that we all know and love.
Stephanie White just got fired, and the shockwaves are shaking the entire WNBA. Last night, Caitlin Clark led the charge that pushed her coach out after the disastrous 89-81 collapse against the Aces. This is more than a coaching change. It's a seismic shift in power that could redefine the Indiana Fever's entire future.
It's a really not good situation right now. And you've now got Stephanie White, a coach who has, let's be honest, she's lost her smile.
Stephanie White is out, and Caitlin Clark's fingerprints are all over it. This isn't just about a coaching change. It's a seismic shift in the Indiana Fever's story. It's rare to see a superstar's frustrations boil over like this, but when they do, it's a wake-up call. Caitlin Clark, the undeniable face of the Fever, has had enough. And let's be clear, this firing isn't just about one bad game or even one bad season. It's about a culture, a system, and a coach who couldn't get it right when it mattered most.
She doesn't have a point in the last quarter. Was it the last quarter and a half? Or was it the last 6 or 7 minutes she didn't have a point?
Now let's rewind. The cracks started to show with that ugly game against the Golden State Valkyries. Flat doesn't even begin to describe it. The Fever looked lifeless, outplayed and out-hustled in every way. Sure, it was a tough scheduling spot, but the excuses didn't sit right. Everyone moved on, thinking it was just one of those nights. But then came the Las Vegas Aces game, and this one left a scar.
Last night, the Las Vegas Aces defeated the Indiana Fever 89-81. And this game was disappointing for many fans, not only for the fact that it seemed like the Fever had this one in the bag, but they kind of gave it away at the end of the game.
The Fever had a 10-point lead, and it all unraveled in the most painful way possible. Sloppy turnovers, a lack of execution, and no adjustments from Stephanie White. None. Becky Hammond? She was on the other sideline making tweaks, switching defenses, and taking away Aaliyah Boston's easy buckets. The Aces turned the game around while White stood there, arms crossed, looking helpless. By the time the final whistle blew, the score was 89-81, resulting in a loss.
I mean, I thought for the most part we did a lot of stuff that Coach wanted us to do, and, that wasn't why we lost.
And Caitlin Clark, she's been the engine for this team, the one player they rely on more than anyone else. But even engines stall when they're overworked and unsupported.
The ball to Aaliyah Boston. She was getting her teammates involved. She was taking it to the rim, and she did miss some shots around the rim, but at least she was getting downhill.
Clark was in a shooting slump, sure, but she was still playmaking, keeping the team alive. Then the second half hit, and the turnovers piled up. Consecutive mistakes at critical moments. You could see it on her face, frustration, anger, disappointment. It wasn't just her game falling apart, it was the system around her collapsing.
She has handled it better than I think any celebrity has ever handled any kind of spotlight on them.
When you're a superstar, the finger gets pointed at you, fair or not. Clark owned it though. Post-game, she admitted her mistakes, putting the blame on herself. But let's be honest here, this wasn't all on her. The offense was a mess, the rotations were questionable, and the lack of any coherent adjustments screamed one thing: coaching failure.
It is not going to work for this team. What Stephanie White wants to do will not work.
White had all offseason to figure this out. She talked about depth, about creating a system that didn't put everything on Clark's shoulders.
And by the way, I'm not saying what Stephanie White wants to do is won't work in general. Won't work in general. Because it has worked. She's had success. But I'm saying what Stephanie White wants to do will not work for this team specifically.
But when the moment came, it was the same old story. Predictable plays, poor rotations, and no support for her star player. Caitlin Clark can't do it all, but White seemed to think she could.
Defense was getting strung out too much in that first half, so we made some adjustments, and I think it was better.
Becky Hammond, on the other hand, showed exactly what a great coach does. She saw Boston dominating in the first half, slipping screens for easy layups, and said, enough. The Aces switched their defense, and Boston was neutralized. Meanwhile, White just stood there, arms folded, watching it all fall apart. The Aces game wasn't just a loss, it was a symbol of everything wrong with the Fever. A superstar left out to dry, a coach unable to adapt, a team that looked more lost than ever. And when you put all that together, it's no surprise things ended the way they did.
I was conceding by not playing fast. What is she saying? Like, this is the most, she essentially exposed that Stephanie White wants him to play slow.
I thought at times we could have played a little bit faster, and I think that's on me, like not conceding in that. We still got to play up tempo. We still got to.
It's on me not conceding.
Caitlin Clark might not have walked into the front office and demanded a change, but her voice, her performance, and her frustrations were loud enough. The Fever had to choose: cling to a coach who couldn't deliver or back the player who represents their future. The choice was obvious. Stephanie White's firing is about more than just wins and losses. It's a message. This team is done with mediocrity. And Caitlin Clark? She's the one holding the torch now. The question is, where does she take them from here?
This is damning. She's saying that she needs to stop conceding and play fast, and that doing what the coach wanted them to do was not why they lost.
Caitlin Clark. The name alone carries weight. She's the heart, soul, and engine of the Indiana Fever. But here's the thing. When you're relied on more than any other player in the league, seriously any other player, it's bound to get messy. And that's exactly what's been happening.
We are only 3 games removed from the New York Liberty game where she had 7 threes. She had 3 in 38 seconds. Like, that was only just last week that all of that happened.
Clark isn't just the go-to. She's the only option most nights. Everything runs through her. Scoring, playmaking, setting the tempo. When it works, it's beautiful. But when it doesn't? Well, you get games like the one against the Aces. 8 turnovers. Yes, 8. And these weren't just any turnovers. They were backbreakers, coming at the worst possible moments.
I think what I'm worried or concerned about, and what a lot of fans are concerned about, we don't want to see Caitlin Clark lose her confidence on the court.
Now let's talk about those turnovers for a second. Are they all on Clark? Not entirely. She's being forced to do too much. Run the offense, create her own shots, and make up for a system that doesn't support her. She's like a chef trying to cook a 5-course meal with one hand tied behind her back. And when the pressure mounts, mistakes happen.
She didn't even say it's Christy Sides. She's just admitted it. That the coach does not want her to play fast.
But here's where it gets tricky. With great power comes great responsibility. Clark knows this. She's owned up to her mistakes, even when the system set her up to fail. That's leadership. But let's be real. How much can one player carry before the weight becomes too much? Remember all the hype about the Fever's depth in the offseason? Stephanie White couldn't stop talking about it. "We've got the pieces," she said. "We've got the depth." Oh, really? Because it sure doesn't look like it.
Fire her yesterday. And the reason why is not that Stephanie White is a bad basketball coach. It's not that Stephanie White is a bad motivational speaker. It's not that Stephanie White has done a bad job defending her players.
The truth is, White sold us a dream, but what we got was a nightmare. The offense is predictable. Slip screens that don't fool anyone and sets that leave Clark doing all the heavy lifting. It's like watching the same bad movie on repeat. And let's not forget the rotation decisions. Brianna Turner over Dantas. Why? Turner gets 6 minutes and it's a disaster. Dantas, meanwhile, doesn't even see the floor. Fans and analysts are left scratching their heads.
It's that Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark fundamentally have different understandings of the sport of basketball. Not even different understandings. What Stephanie White wants to do is not going to work for this team.
And White's sideline demeanor? Arms crossed, no adjustments, just watching the game slip away. It's infuriating. Fans are shouting at their screens, analysts are calling her out, and Clark is out there trying to clean up the mess.
The Aces came out, they changed some of their defensive schemes, and they made it hard for the Indiana Fever.
Now let's look at the other side of the court, Becky Hammond. She's everything White isn't. Sharp, decisive, and always 2 steps ahead. The Aces game was a perfect example. In the first half, Aaliyah Boston was unstoppable, slipping screens for easy layups. So what did Hammond do? Adjust. Just switch, she said. That's it. Simple, effective, and completely shut down Boston in the second half. Meanwhile, White, arms crossed, watching her team collapse.
Stephanie White benched Dantas for the entire game tactically, and said Bree Turner was on for defensive reasons. I'm sorry, Bree Turner couldn't guard Aja Wilson any better than Dantas could.
Hammond's adjustments didn't just stop Boston, they exposed White's inability to adapt. And here's the kicker. By neutralizing Boston, the Aces forced Clark to take on even more responsibility. She's already in a shooting slump, and now she's trying to carry the team against a defense that knows exactly how to shut her down.
And she's just confirmed it. We've hired a freaking snake oil salesman as a coach.
This game wasn't just a loss, it was a lesson in what happens when one coach knows how to lead and the other doesn't. Hammond's brilliance made White's shortcomings even more glaring.
That is the first time that she's done that.
Caitlin Clark isn't just playing basketball. She's trying to be the glue holding this team together, and it's costing her. The shooting slump, the turnovers, the frustration, it's all a product of a system that asks too much and gives too little. White's firing might seem like a drastic move, but let's be honest, it was overdue. The Fever need a coach who can take some of the load off Clark, someone who can create an offense that doesn't rely on her doing everything. Because right now, this isn't sustainable.
Caitlin Clark had one turnover till Bree Turner came on the floor and was just turning it over constantly.
The narrative has shifted. Clark is no longer just the superstar trying to carry her team to victory. She's the one who exposed the flaws in the system and forced the Fever to make a change. That's leadership. That's power.
And I mean this sounds like this is Caitlin Clark coming out for the first time and saying, I want to run fast, coach doesn't.
So here we are. White is out and Clark is still standing. The question now is, can the Fever finally build a system that lets their star shine, or will they keep asking her to do the impossible? One thing's for sure, this team is at a crossroads and everything they do next hinges on Caitlin Clark. If the Golden State loss was a stumble, the Aces game was a full-on collapse. Let's not sugarcoat it. This was the worst Fever loss of the season. 0 free throws in the first half. Yes, 0. How does that even happen? No aggression, no physicality, no effort to attack the rim.
It's a disappointing one. It is a disappointing one.
And then there were the turnovers, 18 of them leading to 28 points for the Aces. Meanwhile, the Fever forced 13 turnovers and only managed to score 16 points off them. That's the kind of disparity that makes you lose games. And Stephanie White? She didn't have any answers. The worst part is that this game was winnable. The Fever led for most of it, even holding a double-digit lead at one point. But as the fourth quarter rolled around, it was like deja vu. Sloppy plays, no adjustments, and another late-game collapse. Clark struggled in the second half, sure, but how much of that was on her versus the system she's stuck in?
So many fans are asking, what is going on?
This wasn't just a bad game, it was a breaking point. For the fans, for the analysts, and maybe even for Clark herself. The tension had been building, and this game felt like the moment it all boiled over.
Stop telling us to play faster. Stop telling us to do this. We're doing what the coaches are asking us to do.
So where do we go from here? The Fever are in a tough spot, their playoff hopes are hanging by a thread, and the schedule doesn't get any easier. They've got games against the Storm, the Sparks, and the Aces again. Oh, and the Golden State Valkyries too. It's a gauntlet, and this team doesn't exactly look ready for it.
It's a really not good situation.
But here's the silver lining. Stephanie White is out. That's a fresh start, a chance to rebuild. The Fever need a coach who can bring structure to the offense, someone who can take some of the load off Clark's shoulders. Because let's be honest, this isn't just about Clark, it's about the team as a whole. Potential replacements for White are already being floated around. Maybe someone with a history of player development or a coach who knows how to make in-game adjustments. Whoever it is, they'll have their work cut out for them. And what about Clark? Can she bounce back? Absolutely, she's too talented not to. With the right leadership and a system that actually supports her, there's no reason she can't turn this slump around. But here's the big question. Did Clark just save this team by forcing this change, or is the Fever's dysfunction too deep to fix? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. This is a turning point for the Fever. Whether it's for better or worse, we'll have to wait and see.
I cannot believe this. I cannot believe she has essentially come out and said, man, stop telling me to play faster. It's not me.
Stephanie White's firing isn't just about poor coaching, it's a declaration. The Indiana Fever have chosen Caitlin Clark's future over everything else, and that's a bold, defining move. But was it the right one? Does this shakeup fix the deeper cracks in the team, or is it just the start of more upheaval? What do you think Fever will go from there? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates.